G'day, how you doing? Adam Williams here from Easy Way Photography, and of course, Adam Williams Creative YouTube channel. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you wouldn't mind. Jump on, do that first now, and then if the video sucks, you can just unsubscribe. How about that? We'll flip those over for just this video and see what happens. Probably no subscribers, but that's okay, doesn't matter. Anyway, I'm looking a bit scruffy this morning. I've just gotten up, I've made myself a cup of tea. Well, not quite just gotten up, it's 9:16. I got up at least 15 minutes ago out of bed. But anyway, cup of tea, and I got an email that was the top 25 semi-finalist revealed for the AIPP Silver Lining Competition. And I thought, rather than have a little squiz at that myself, I didn't enter, but many of my mates did. I thought it would be exciting if we went through particularly some of the more landscape-specific categories. So let's go and do that now. Let me just, before I switch over to full screen, let me load that up. I haven't even got that far yet, so very spur of the moment. Okay, here we go. So let me switch over to that full screen in a second here. Here we go. Hello, here we go. So hopefully my big head down in the bottom left there is not in the way. And what are we going to look at? Maybe we'll just look at one today, and we'll come back and look at, if you enjoy the video, another reason to hit the subscribe button, because we'll come back and look at some of the others, because we've got places, that looks interesting. Man-made looks interesting. Sure, smartphone looks interesting. Oh, they all nearly look interesting, don't they? Home, student would be interesting. Natural work. Oh. So I think let's have a look at, to be honest, we're going to skip portrait. We might come back at the end of the series if you're all saying, well, let's have a look at portrait after we do the other ones. But for the time being, let's skip that and go to places, because I assume that places might be a more landscape photography specific genre. So let's click on places. Here we go. And can we click on one and then scroll through, or do we have to? So there's a quick overview of what we're looking at here, and I can see a couple of my favourite photographers, even a Easy Way Photography member in there, who is an absolute superstar, always has been. Oh man, there's some gorgeous images. I tell you what, let's just hold there for a moment and just sort of scan over them. Is there any image that really stands out for you so far, or a couple of images? Because there is at least one or two on the thumbnail level that is really, really exciting me. And I'm going to, at the end of this, I'm going to try and predict the top three. Okay? I'll probably be miles off and won't get any of them, but let's see. For fun, let's see if we can predict the top three, or I can predict the top three. Put your predictions in the comments below, and then we'll come back and I'll have a look through the comments to see if any of you got it absolutely correct when I do the final 1, 2, 3, when the actual 1, 2, 3s, first, second, thirds are released. Okay? Alright, so I'll come back at the end and choose my top three. Okay. I'm hopeless at pronouncing people's names, so apologies in advance if I get some of these names wrong, but we've got Vicky Moritz here. A beautiful, looks to be a sweeping ICM, in-camera motion photograph. Really beautiful cityscape with that one lonely, if you like, freeze frame bird. So the bird is not blurred, but everything else is. What sort of emotional sense do we get from this? I mean, with that one bird, for me it's a sense of, the blur adds a sense of uncertainty, and this is just completely off the cuff, it's the initial reaction. The blur adds a sense of uncertainty, almost anxiety, and the bird itself offers a few contrasting elements for me. It could add to a sense of loneliness, something like that, which would fit with the anxiety to some degree, and the darkness, maybe depression and loneliness there. But for me, it also adds a sense of freedom, peaceful, the ability to fly away from troubles, all those kind of things. So an image that you could interpret many, many ways. So really, really strong there. Congrats, Vicky, on your semi-final placement. Mike Murphy. Beautiful, dramatic look at the light, just gorgeous light. I don't know if Mike's done this specifically. It looks almost selective colour, doesn't it? Like that Mike has removed all the colour from all the background elements, the sky and the sand dune, and just left the colour in the main subject. But it could also be that these were a really crisp, pure white sand dune to begin with. So a really beautiful image there. More of a standard landscape shot, but very beautiful in its own right. Am I getting much emotional connection to this one? You know, it's not telling me a really deep story, this one. It's a rather literal interpretation of that beautiful scene there for me. It doesn't mean that it can't be in the top 3 though. We won't rule that out. This is a very Australiana type shot, isn't it? It looks like one of those old landscape paintings from the past for me. Almost. Remember that Kit Kat ad? Now, I'm not up to date or knowledgeable enough to tell you which particular artist that Kit Kat ad, if you remember the one I'm talking about, was depicting. But I get the sense this might be a similar take on that particular photograph, if you know the one I'm talking about. You might be able to Google Kit Kat ad, famous Kit Kat ad painting, and see if it looks like that. I'll do it afterwards. I'm probably way off. But it gives me that feeling that's what it's tied back to. Oh, I have an early favourite. Diane Kelsey. Oh, I'm enjoying that a lot. Just the simplicity and the graphic nature of those shapes and the light. Like, I love just this little slither of light down here creating that shadow which merges into the tonality of the wall. And then you've got a different tonality on the face. You know, the light just playing off these different elements, and the black rectangle here and the cream peachy one here. Oh, just stunning. And then this looks to be almost digitally created, because you have this blue frame which is so smooth that it looks like it's just a solid colour frame being placed in Photoshop. Now, I don't know the exact rules of this competition, and I doubt that is allowed, but I love that. I really do. And then you have the picture within the frame over there on the right, which looks, I don't know if it's a picture hanging on the wall or if we're looking at something through the wall. I think it must be a picture hanging on the wall. And I love the confusion and everything that adds. A beautiful image. I think this will do well, this one. Whether it's in my top 3, I'm not sure, but I think it's up there. It's up there. Now, we asked at the beginning, I'm not sure if I showed you all those thumbnails at the beginning, if anyone was standing out, and this one was an absolute standout for me as far as having initial impact on a thumbnail level. Does it still hold the initial impact at this level? Yes. There's some things, and look, I don't want to critique, but there are some things that I would maybe tweak or that are holding me back slightly. Now, what I love about this image is that it looks just like an absolute bonfire, doesn't it? I think we all get that, and that's that visual storytelling that we're all looking for. We're looking for something that's not necessarily there quite often, you know, that the image represents something that is not the literal sense of what it's representing. I'm almost 100% sure that this is an aerial photograph, but the fact that it represents a bonfire is absolutely stunning. And even the smoke up in the top section of that frame is absolutely sublime. And I would have this in the top few. It may well even be in my top 3. Just spectacular. David Dallenberg. I'm pretty sure David's an Easy Way photography member. Congratulations to David, and I'm sorry if you're not, but I'm pretty sure you have been one of my students at some stage, because I remember seeing your name in many competitions doing very, very well. I could be wrong, but I think he's a Easy Way member. All right, another stunning aerial here. I love it, but initially, again, it's not it's not giving me that initial pop wow factor like that the previous one did. But absolutely gorgeous. Love the detail. There's a interesting shape and subject in the middle there. But for me, and this is just for me, and judging is very subjective. Look, I can't see anything that's really jumping out to me that I should be seeing, and you're probably screaming at me at home going, there's a face in there, I can see this, I can see that, but it's not revealing itself. I do see, actually there is a beautiful face up here, okay, and if I keep looking deeper, oh then another face maybe there, and maybe that's why this one's in the semi-finals, because as you look deeper it keeps revealing more bits and pieces. One of those types of images that you put on your wall and 3 years later discover there's a horse looking back at you or something or other, you know what I mean. But for me, it doesn't have that visual pop or visual story that's connecting with me, this one, so it probably won't be in my top 3. David Bignell. Wow, stunning black and white. Those snow-covered rocks in the foreground, they almost look to be floating in space, don't they? I mean, you could even, I'm not going to critique, but you could even have 2 images in that, the top half and the bottom half. But as a foreground, just spectacular, particularly that first rather large rock right in the immediate foreground. It just looks to be absolutely floating in space, doesn't it? Just stunning. Wow, what an absolute privilege to look through these images. I hope you're loving it and getting inspired. I'll put I will put the link so that you can look through these yourself as well. Get a little bit inspired, make some notes and some ideas about photos you might be able to create for yourself. Graham Gordon, me good mate. Graham, if you're watching along, congratulations. And congratulations to everyone, of course, but Graham is a good friend of mine. And look, he is an Easy Way member at some time, some stage, but I can't take credit for any of the Easy Way members, to be honest, because it's all within them. All these skills are within them, and if I've managed to help a little fraction to tease that out or inspire in some manner, then that's all I could ever hope for. Graham was talented before he ever met me, but maybe a tiny fraction of inspiration was in there somewhere. That could be all I could hope for. Stunning. I don't know this location, Graham. It's very similar to the shots we see coming from the Harbour Bridge, Sydney Harbour Bridge, with the bridge over there, and then you have the Opera House on the left often, and all the city skyline in the background. So I've seen this composition work very, very well before. I don't recognise the actual cityscape. If anyone knows that cityscape, drop a comment below and enlighten me. But an ultra long exposure in what the style that Graham Gordon has come to make his own. He's come to make this style his own, and no one depicts, or not many people depict light in a black and white like Graham Gordon has the ability to. An absolute ripper. I don't know if it's in my top 3 yet. We'll come back once we've had a good look at all of them. Barbara Brown. I don't want to miss out. I should have had a look previous. I don't want to miss out on any Easy Way members. I don't know. Could be. I've now got 5 or 10,000, 8,000 or something in there, so I don't recognise all the names. I do recognise a large percentage though, and I don't know how that is possible, but we have another aerial with gorgeous textures. What I'm loving is these little crackly bits in here. The colours, the golden colours. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Am I getting, what are we getting? What does the image represent? Could be almost like veins, blood vessels, or something like that. Beautiful, but for me, to put it in my top 3, and this deserves to be where it is, and all the photos deserve to be there. They're outstanding, and someone else will put this as the best image of the group, absolutely. But for me, what I'm looking for from a judging perspective is not only sublime technical skill and incredibly beautiful light and tonalities, but the real, that will get you so far. That will get you into the semi-finals. But what for me puts the image at the top is just some sort of emotional connection where I just like mind blown, want to hang it on my wall. I want to email that particular artist and add it to my collection. Yeah, and for me so far there's been one of those, so that's looking like it might be in my top 3. We're not going for number 10, Chris Dark. Oh, it's nice. And I want to give the judges some credit here for having the bravery to put an image like this through. Not because it's not a great image, because it absolutely is, because it's an image that you don't normally, or maybe don't normally see. And it's very simplistic and it's very soft, and it's a style that I have been doing and working on myself. Much darker style, but in this sort of blurry, soft style of photography, and I really, really enjoy it. I really do. It gives a real dreamlike sense, you know, that fuzziness that you have in your dreams. Yeah, it's really much like that. And I love, it feels to me, I don't know if it feels like this to you, but it feels like early morning light. The first surfer, the light's rising, you know, and he's out there, and you're having a dream. You might be going surfing first light the next day, and this might be your dream, you know, half an hour before you get up as you're thinking about getting those first waves. I don't know, but that's what storytelling's all about for me. And this is certainly right there. Oh, Grant Gale Braith. This is one of those images for me, guys. This is one of those. Wow, I'm actually getting, I don't even know why, but I'm actually feeling emotional, a little bit teary, and I don't know why. And I think it's just pure being so proud of a good mate of mine in producing something that I haven't really seen before. This is unusual. This is powerful. The tones are sublime. The image is sublime. I love the swerve. Like what I'm seeing here is normally when you get a cityscape, the thing to do with it is to sweep up and down. Okay, and that gets you so far and gets you, and is emotionally, often an emotional connection there. But sweeping organic shapes that are showing up in this image against the hard graphic shapes of the cityscape and the blurry, almost charcoal effect to the details. It's almost like a rubbing. You know, when you ever do that with a 20-cent or a 50-cent coin under a piece of paper and then get a bit of graphite or something and rub it over the top? Oh man, this is absolutely in my top 3. Maybe not at the end, but it is right in there right now. Grant, absolutely. Oh, I wanted to swear there, but I don't usually do that, do I? I don't swear on camera. I don't swear very often, ever at all. And that's how good this image is for me. All right? Okay, so it might not be for you, but for me, Grant, congratulations. Grant is also an ex-Easy Way or a previous Easy Way photography member, but, you know, I can't take any credit for anything like this. I provide the tools, and these incredible creatives go out and produce work like this, okay? I don't know how he does it, but somewhere along the line I helped him with a few of the tools. Okay. Beth Baker. Well, this is something interesting as well. What I'm loving about this is the almost metallic shine that the tonalities are giving me. There's a real depth, there's a real gloss, and that's something really, really beautiful. Now we've got what looks to be a blended or a double in-camera movement exposure where the bottom half of the frame seems to be sweeping somewhat horizontally and the top half of the frame is sweeping vertically, and that's really, really beautiful. And I also enjoying the golden tones of the foreground versus the cooler tones of the background, if you like, the background being the top. Really, really nice, Beth. Beautiful. Oh, who is this bloke? Never heard of Paul Holan. Anyone heard of Paul Holan before? Mate, I know it's been a long time actually. Paul Holan is one of my best mates in the world. One of my closest friends. And I haven't spoken to him for probably 6 months or so. And that's my fault. I had a rough 6 months. You guys don't know about that. You're hearing about this for the first time now, hence why I haven't done many videos. But I'm coming good. I'm coming really good. Heading back towards some of the best I've felt in a long time. It's taken some hard work, but Paul, I need to get on the phone. Let's have a chat this week. That would be awesome. Paul is also one of the best aerial photographers in the world. And this is, this is up there with some of his best work. Stunning. What Paul, well, if you know Paul's work well enough, he's got a style and a tonality and a colour palette that is very much Paul Holan. You can see the colour palette and the tonality within his work all the time. And it's, particularly these warmer, leathery tones, those organic sort of skin tones, leathery tones that you get from a tanned leather or something like that. Always prevalent in Paul's work. And this beautiful sort of earthy navy blue with a touch of warmth in it as well. Just suits absolutely beautiful in my opinion. So simplistic, so gorgeous. It's going to be close to the top 3. I'm going to have to go back and have a look right at the end to see if this one's in there. Oh man, Adrian Donahue. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that exactly correctly, but an extremely well-known photographer, Australian photographer, I believe from Victoria, Melbourne. He is one of the best. I will say that Adrian is probably one of the best competition style photographers. Like, no doubt at all, he's one of the best photographers in the world, regardless in against any measure. But as far as producing work that just wows the judges, Adrian is right up there. And jump over, go and Google some of these photographers at the end and have a look at their bodies of work, and you'll understand that this is no fluke. Most of these photographers are, well, probably all of these photographers are absolutely incredible, with incredible bodies of work behind them. But this is just amazing. Like, look at the foreground of those black umbrellas, and then we're looking through the clear umbrella at this little boy or girl, I'm not exactly sure, and then all those raindrops coming down and the drops across the umbrellas, and the beautiful little Easter egg moment. I don't know how it relates, but I just love the fact that he put the shoe, someone's foot there, to sort of tie back that other people are in the shot too. It's not just a series of umbrellas. Just spectacular. Mandarin Montgomery, another absolutely sensational artist. Go and check her work out as well. I remember bumping into Mandarin's work about 10 years ago via an awards called the Aperture Awards, I think, back in the day. And she won the overall Aperture Awards back in around 2013, 2014, maybe. And I've been a fan ever since. Just absolutely stunning. Very, very nice. I think that'll be right close up there too. Graham Gordon with your second image. Second image in the category here. In the top 25, the only artist to have 2 so far. How many are we in? 16 of 25 in. Beautiful, simplistic, beautiful light, stunning black and white. Can't be faulted. All those little facets on the glass, just with their separation and different tonalities as they pick up that light in different ways. Absolutely gorgeous. Tony Hewitt. Congratulations, Tony. One of Australia's most well-known and most talented landscape photographers, or in fact across many, many genres. Loves the aerial stuff, much like Paul Holan, known for his aerial stuff. Tony Hewitt has got an incredible book, which I need to get my hands on, where he travelled around Australia, and I should know who the other artist was, but it escapes my mind at the moment, but he travelled around Australia, right round the entire coastline of Australia in a small light plane, and photographed the entire coastline from the air. I need to get a copy of that, So keep your eyes out for that, or Google Tony Hewitt and you'll find where you can buy yourself one of those copies too. Barbara Brown. Now we know she was in there before, wasn't she? And this one has more impact than the first one for mine. And it's just the simplicity and the graphic nature of those larger segments. We have those 4 segments here. We have the white one sort of leaking over into this one, and then those 2 more natural ones on this diagonal here, bottom left, top right. Do we see any shapes or faces or anything in there? I'm not sure, but it certainly has more visual impact for me than the previous one. So if I had to say, I would say this one will finish higher than Barbara's other one. But we don't know. I'm just guessing. My opinion only. Federica Rakowski, another good mate of mine. We met at one of my workshops many, many years ago. He is an Easy Way member, and he has a talent for producing just emotional content, just mind-blowing, emotive imagery, and this one is no exception. It's actually with that single solemn bird in there, very, very similar to, in narrative to the very first image in some sense, isn't it? But just that misty haze off into the background and that big strong harbour bridge and the gorgeous light coming through and just lighting up that bird as the main subject. And you get that, the fog and darkness for me add that sense of doubt, add that sense of heaviness, and then the bird adds that sense of lightness and freedom and just wanting to fly and be free and fly away from any trouble. Just powerful stuff. I would have this in the top few for sure. Oh, it's going to be tough picking a top 3, isn't it? I'm going to do it. We are going to lock that in. I might pick a top 5 and then I'll narrow it down to the top 3 just to give myself some room, some scope. Oh, I should have said at the beginning, hopefully the judge, as if I'm going to influence any judges, but anyway, I'm not a judge, so if you're watching this and you're a judge, then you probably shouldn't be just yet. But I'm sure the judges that we have at the AIPP are not going to be influenced by what any hack like me has to say, that's for sure. Chad Peacock. I don't know Chad. I should know Chad. I'll go and Google him after this. Oh man, it's just, I love the horizontal lines. Boom, boom, so graphic. And then we get so natural and so free-flowing with that cloud at the top. And I love the fact, you could have maybe thought of cloning these out just to make it cleaner and crisper, but I love the fact because above that center line, it's all about being natural and carefree and these types of things. And down below we've got structure and humanity and all of that stuff. So I love the fact that you weren't tempted to clone these out because I think they add to that story of being just carefree and natural and nature and all those beautiful things. And the tones are just beautiful. The tones are just subtle. And the tones and the colours are both rather subtle, slightly muted, which I'm really, really, really enjoying. Sandra Dan, congratulations. Sandra, she's always been a superstar, but over the last, and I think it was since she did Karen Allsop's courses, so a little shout out to Karen Allsop's creative courses. Sandra has really gone through the roof. Sandra is an Easy Way photography member as well, but I've seen a huge improvement since she signed up for that course. Whether Sandra will tell you herself, if you're a friend of hers, whether or not that was a huge influence, but I think it was. Because this whimsical, illustrative style, which Sandra has always been aspiring to, has really just consolidated into something really special in the last 6-12 months. And this is one of those. And she's also very, very well known or making a particular style in this triptych style. Something she's been experimenting with for probably 2 or 3 years and has had success in competitions with this style many, many times before. Loving the subtle, soft texture of this sort of mottly, snow falling on the road, and it's got a beautiful texture throughout. That's very hard to get to come across in a digital or a print, is when you have those tones that are very, very tightly compressed together to get that visual separation. Absolutely gorgeous. A lonely tree. What have we got down the back there? A little deer or something. A lonely tree in the middle. So this frame all by itself, just spectacular. And this frame all by itself as well, with the birds sort of flying off. This adds that sense of freedom and whimsy. This frame for me just has a beautiful sense of peace and quiet. Okay, there's nothing going on there particularly, but it adds that sense of calmness and peace. Gives you somewhere to go and rest. Okay, beautiful, stunning, well done. Matt Beatson, congratulations, Matt. Aerials, I mean, aerials have been dominating competitions for a while. There's a nice balance in here of aerials, though. I don't think we've got more than about, 20%. 15%? I haven't counted. You might be counting as we go along. Somewhere around about there, I would guess. Beautiful. I like the little lone, little mangrovey thing in the middle there. Almost like a hand reaching out the overall waterway. Yeah, very, very nice. Very nice. It doesn't have that, for me, and this is nothing against Matt's work, but it's not grabbing me on an emotional sense that I would potentially put this one in the top 3. I'm going to be completely wrong, mind you, no doubt about it, but... Oh, Scotty McCook does it again. Dude. I don't have one of Scotty McCook's works in my collection yet. We might have to talk, my good friend. He's probably not watching. Not many people watch really this stuff anyway, do they? But if you are, I'll message you on Facebook and we might talk about something here. I'm going to have too many images to hang on my walls, but I love collecting Australian photography at the highest level. And Scotty McCook and this particular piece is right there. In saying that, if I am going to buy one of Scotty McCook's works, I'm going to have to look through his back catalogue, because it's just that higher quality work and really dramatic. It's right in the stuff that I love to do and I really love myself. It's just poppy and drama and just in your face. There's nothing subtle about Scotty McCook, and he should be very proud of just shoving it in people's faces every time and just not backing down. I love that. I love it. Dude. It's going to take me... I don't get an emotional connection. Well, I do. There's something about this image that is just, knocking my socks off. But it's not revealing its story straight away. I see these little sort of floating ghouls, these sort of bean-shaped guys here. Wow, and this one's exploding. And then... but almost a dinosaur down here. If I know from previous experience, there's stuff hidden in here, and I'm excited to reveal it and find it. Because, sometimes about 50% of the time I'll say to, when I'm having a chat with Scotty and he shows me his work, and I'll be like, dude, look at that in there. And he's like, yeah, I know. That's the whole idea. And I'm like, yeah, okay, fair call. But, and then the other times I won't see it, I'm like, I love it, dude, but, what am I looking at? And he's like, oh, can you see this? Can you see that? I'm like, oh, okay. Wow. Could be top. I'm not sure. I would have this in my top 3 if I was judging, but will the judges? I don't know. Well, I think I would. Chris Saunders, another Australian photography superstar, who I don't own any of Chris's work as yet, but I would love to one day. I would love to. And a real, Chris has this wide range of styles. For a while there he was producing, and probably still is, I haven't seen his work for a while, but producing some of the best ever Australian aerial photography. Some of the best aerial photography work ever seen, ever in the world. And he won the AIPP landscape category a couple of years back with some of that work. And he's been pushing his own boundaries recently back into some more traditional landscape stuff. And it's great to see him really pushing it with this blurry sort of motion blur stuff as well. What do I get from this image? A massive sense of calmness and peace from the top 2/3. If for me, if I'm going to add a really open sky with not much detail, then I'm trying to evoke a sense of peace, calm, quietness, and I get that from this. And then in the lower section, we see some industry. So it's sort of a juxtaposition of the hectic kind of nature of industry, or the stressful almost nature of industry, versus a beautiful calmness and peace and quiet of the landscape that it sits in. And I guess that's maybe something the judges picked up on as well. You guys like mind blown like I am? Is this the last one? It is. I don't think I can take much more. Pamela Pauline, another great friend of mine. I had her on the show, you might remember. If you don't remember, I was doing live YouTubes about 12 months ago, and Pamela Pauline came on and talked in depth about this particular body of work, about creating these Australian native scenes using rare and endangered Australian flora and fauna. And it's just absolutely spectacular, isn't it? It just really is. There's nothing more you can say about it, but what Pamela has been able to achieve in this style of work, composite work, it's obvious, and that's not taking anything away from it. I love the depth. No one that I have seen in a composite style shot has been able to achieve this amount of depth, visual depth from front to back, that Pamela is able to achieve. I'm sure there is other examples of it, but this is at the highest level. You know, as you come from the foreground, it's so clear that these little pieces of the trees and whatnot around here, and the birds, and this bird down here, is all clearly in the foreground. And then we move to the midground of this lily pond here. Just sublime. And then we move slowly, we gradually move right into the depths, into the background, and further right back into here. Like, just incredible, an incredible piece of photography. Just stunning. Wow, that could be in the top 3. Okay, let's do it. I don't know how I'm going to, how do I get back? Is it that one? That one. Alright, my tea's gone cold, but still tasty. Wow. How do we choose the top 3? Have you got, as I said, make sure you choose your top 3 and put it in the comments below, and I'll give you a shout out if you get it right once the awards come out. Let's narrow it down. For me, this is purely for me. I'm going to narrow it to Pamela, this one, the beautiful one, number 25. Federico, I think that has a real emotional pull. Scotty McCook. Adrian. Paul Holan's got to be on the edge of that as well for me. Paul, you'll probably finish first like you normally do, but you're right in there in the mix for sure. I know we go to a finalist as well of about 10. So if I had to choose finalists, let's do that first of all. Let me choose roughly 10 as we go along. I think Diane Kelsey here is close to being in that. Chris Dark. David Bignell might be close on that too. Grant Galbraith, that's 4. Paul Holland. To anyone that I miss out here, obviously, it's just one mug's idea of what I like. Adrian Donahue, I think that's 6. Scotty McCook, definitely. Pamela Pauline, definitely. That's 8. And the final 2 that I would have would be Federico Rakowski. I'm going to leave it open. I'm going to leave it at 9 and say that any of the other entrants could be in there with a mix. Sandra Dan would get very, very close. Mandarin Montgomery, very close. Graham Gordon's, either one of his images would be very close. Chris Stark, he's blurry surfer. Chris Saunders with his peaceful one. You know, anyone. Mike Murphy could be in there. David Dallenberg. Beth Barker. You could all be in there for sure. You could all be in there for sure. Stephen with your beautiful Kit Kat. Reminds me of the Kit Kat ad. Okay. Now, of that, what do I think will be top 3? Who do I think? Well, I'm not. Can I choose? I will. I'll choose the winner and my second and third. Should I do it from my perspective or who I think? I'll do it from my perspective first, who I would choose. Chris Dark gets it as number 1. And I even said when I had a look at Chris's that there were a couple of things that maybe I would change ever so slightly. But there you go. Chris Dark would get mine. I think it's got the emotional, just impact that just gets it there. Pamela. There's a standout 4 for me. Oh, Grant Galbraith. I was just frothing over that, wasn't I? Oh. Okay, it's between Grant and Chris are my top 2. I would actually, well, I'm going to leave it like that because I think, yeah, emotionally I'm more connected to Grant's. Illustratively, as far as the bushfire, I think Chris Dark is stronger, but emotionally Grant's is stronger. So I was going to put a top 1. Okay, I will. I'll do it. Who are my 3? Just gibbering. My 3 and then what I think will win 3. Grant is number 1 in my 3. Chris Dark number 2. My 3rd. Scotty McCook. That's my top 3. Okay, as far as the images that I'm most drawn to. As far as what I think will happen, no, I'll just leave it at that. I'll leave it at that. I think, and if I'm going to add a couple more into my top 5, there's two or three notables as well. And that is Adrian's here, the umbrella, Pamela Pauline's, Federico Rakowski's. Okay? And that's no disrespect to anyone else. I want to put Paul Hollins is right up there as well. But sometimes, I don't know, because I know Paul's work so much, and sometimes when you know something so well, you get used to it to a certain degree and it loses that first initial impact. So, but it's certainly up there as well, Paul. No disrespect, obviously. You know how good you are. And I know how many competitions you've won, and all these people have won in the past. So there we go. I'm going with, for my top 3, Grant Galbraith number 1, Chris Dark with his bonfire scene number 2, Scotty McCook, because I love the punch and I love the fact that he never steps down and it's just always in your face. I love that. I don't think that will be the top 3 though, but they're my top 3. I think the top 3, well, you know where my top 10 is. We can leave it at that. If you loved it, if you enjoyed the video, let me know. And we'll go back, and we can have a look at some of these other ones tomorrow, if you enjoyed it. And we'll give it a shot. I know when I got to the actual end of telling you who I think the top 3 are, that I was a bit useless, because there's so many good ones. It was really, really difficult. But drop your top 3 down below and we'll see how good your eye is when it comes to picking the winners of one of the highest quality fields there is in a photo competition. Thanks for watching along. If you enjoyed it, do me a favour, hit the like button, hit the subscribe. If you're interested in learning more or progressing your photography with a little bit of help from me, check out www.easywayphotography.com.au. That's all there is to this. Bye for now.